Thought I'd seen it all before. A world of trouble knocking at my door. But this ain't like nothing that I recall.
Welcome to In Crisis, Travel Retail Voices, our podcast series in which we speak to travel retail executives around the world about how COVID-19 is affecting their lives and businesses. I'm Dermot Davitt. In this episode, we get a view from the maritime retail market, and specifically from Lisa Bauer, who's President and CEO of Starboard Cruise Services, the Miami-based global cruise concessionaire. I asked Lisa about how daily life and work life have changed, about how Starboard's teams, many of whom are still on board ships at sea, are faring. She talks about the resilience of the people who work in the cruise community, about the sense of solidarity between them, and about how the sector can emerge smarter and better from crisis, about how it must work to regain the trust of customers, and about the turbulence we're going through today and how that might prompt a rethink about how industry relationships are framed tomorrow. Hi Lisa, greetings. Good to connect with you. I guess the only pity is that we have to do it in this very much changed world and amid these unprecedented circumstances.
Yeah, but I appreciate you reaching out. It's still nice to connect even if it's virtual.
Yeah. I guess first of all, maybe you can just tell us where you are in the world and continuing on from that, what daily life is like for you now and how people are reacting to the new way of living and working.
Yeah, so for me personally, I'm working from home in Southwest Ranches, Florida. As you know, our corporate headquarters are in Doral, Florida, and I actually live in Southwest Ranches, and I'm at home with my husband Bob and our 6 dogs and a cat, and I just apologize in advance because I'm sure at some point while you and I are visiting, we'll hear from one, if not all of them.
Very good. I look forward to that.
And, you know, we've all just really become so proficient with Zoom, and, you know, really that's been how we've been keeping in touch with my team and our partners and, you know, really globally. Yeah, no, it's a common problem for all of us, and, you know, we're getting used to this, and obviously it's not something we want to see last a long time, but I'm guessing on the ground there it's similar to other parts where you have either a full or partial lockdown and you can't go out, or at least not for prolonged spells. Yeah, so we moved to work from home on the week of March 16th in Miami. Yeah. Our global team in Shanghai, of course, that started in February, but they're back in the office. And then our Genoa team members, they continue to work from home. So we really, you know, because we are so global in nature, you know, we're seeing Asia come out on the other side of it, and the rest of us are working from home. Right. So it's interesting you say that China, as we've been hearing and we've been reporting also, certainly at least partially in the travel sense has emerged, and you're obviously seeing that at this early stage in your own business? Yes, our employees in Shanghai and Hong Kong are all back to work in the offices full time, and we get daily reports from them, and, you know, really life is back to normal there for the most part. Right, yeah. And in terms of the cruise industry, I guess it's too early for that to be back up and running even in that part of the world where there's at least a little bit of confidence emerging in the market? We do believe that Asia will be the first to come back. We do not have anything definitive. Yeah. But we're certainly staying very close to our cruise partners, and I know they're working very closely with the government to make sure it's safe and that everybody feels comfortable, but we do believe that China will come back first. Yeah. So just more generally, you know, how have you been managing the business? How have you been able to manage the business under the conditions you've been placed under? Maybe I'll start with our shipboard team. That really was, while we were in the process of starting to work from home, our biggest area of focus once the cruise lines had taken the pause. We really were working with our cruise line partners to get our employees safely home, our shipboard team. And across the 8 cruise brands that we work with, we were able to get over 500 of our shipboard team members safely home. Yeah. However, we still have another 1,000 team members on board that we have been unable to get home because of all the logistics, as you can imagine. Airports not offering service, ports being closed, and the logistics. But I would say that our cruise partners have just been incredible and really treating our crew members as part of the same overall cruise line team, where they've chartered aircraft to get their employees back to a certain country. Our employees have been involved. So we've had a significant real presence on trying to maintain communication with our shipboard teams. Our general managers are doing daily calls with the leadership on board, and we're staying close with what's happening shipboard, in close communication with the cruise line partners. Our top priority has and always will be the health and safety and well-being of all of our employees across the globe.
Yeah.
But again, the care that they're receiving on board, there's not customers on board, so they've been all allowed to move to either outside or balcony staterooms and opening up Wi-Fi and practicing, all of the recommended safety precautions on board. And, honestly, not just the shipboard people, but the shoreside people, the resilience of our people just continues to amaze me, and their commitment to each other's well-being. I will tell you, I get notes from the shipboard teams every day thanking people that might be in quarantine for bringing meals to them. And it's really brought people together, and I honestly believe in a much more powerful way, whether it's us with our employees or us with our cruise partners, it's just formed everybody's really looking out for each other. And so that's what I would share what's happening shipboard. Shoreside, we've had to shift to work remotely, and our IT team did an incredible job setting up trainings quickly. You can imagine the multitude of software solutions that we've had to utilize that weren't fully tested for the entire company working remotely, but the team's done a great job. And, I've had a daily leadership meeting with all of my direct reports. I literally just finished a hour and 20-minute town hall meeting with our entire shoreside team, taking them through updates of what was, really happening, state of the industry, economic forecasts, the research that we're seeing, and really just trying to connect. My leadership team continues to have staff meetings. I'm trying to join those, and our biggest focus, honestly, has been on communication, transparency, and making sure that we're answering people's questions, and just, again, being as transparent as we can. And the other thing that I would add finally to your question is I also feel very fortunate about the fact that we're part of LVMH, Moet Hennessy, Louis Vuitton, because we've been working very closely with our sister maisons, sharing best practices, aligning with what's happening corporately, and really getting good direction both from our corporate offices in Paris as well as our North American offices in New York. And to me, that's been very helpful as a relatively new CEO to the LVMH group.
Yes, I guess in June last year when you joined, you probably didn't foresee anything like this happening in your first 12 months.
No, that's for certain. That's for sure.
Yeah. And just in terms of the balance of business management today, and also that piece about planning for the future, it sounds like you're clearly trying to plan for the future as best you can, and no doubt you'll have had a pipeline of new or refurbished ship launches that probably have been put on hold. How do you create that balance, strike that balance between managing today and planning for tomorrow, given the uncertainty in the market?
Really, we went through a process of really understanding what are those projects that in the near term, what are some critical milestones that we have to hit. And we've really put a customer-centric framework in place that's really the foundation of everything that we're doing. So depending on what's happening with, certain cruise lines, for example, we're working on the Costa Firenze, the new build for Asia, the Crystal Endeavor, whether it's the Global Dream, Celebrity Beyond, etc. we're continuing to really work on those. And as we learn from our cruise line partners, if various dry docks have been, minimized or postponed, we're adjusting there. But our real intent right now is to continue to focus on the strategies of what are we learning from our research so that when we do the restart, that we can come out of it smarter than when we went into it, with a better understanding of consumer, and to really be focused on not just, walking out of it or jogging or running, but really being prepared to welcome back the customers. And so we're using that time in our revenue update meetings to just really be on top of consumer sentiment and really what the cruise lines are asking us to do.
Yes, and with that in mind, I suppose looking a little bit to the future, have you a sense of how the industry might change or emerge from this? And that's both from a cruise ship demand point of view and a consumer demand point of view.
This is my own personal perspective. I've been in the industry, fortunate to be in the industry for a long time, and have gone through 9/11 and SARS and the economic crisis in 2008, 2009, and Zika. And it is such an incredibly resilient industry that not only rebounded, but drove incredible growth. And the industry has always had the safety and security of the customers and crew as the first thing, always. And the industry certainly, collaborating and taking additional steps. So I would say, specifically to answer your question, the industry's been through many challenges before and come out even stronger. I do believe this one is slightly different in the sense that in the previous challenges, reducing fares was a big motivator to get people to come on board. And on some of the research we're seeing now, there's two things that I would share. One is it's going to be less about price to welcome customers back, but more about people feeling that the government or the CDC or the World Health Organization has said that cruising is safe, and that the possibility of a vaccine or a treatment is available, and that they understand the protocols that the cruise lines are taking to ensure the safety. But the biggest impact, I believe, will be on the folks that have not cruised before. So when you think about just in North America, if there's a group of roughly 144 million consumers that had cruise in a consideration set or would some way consider a cruise, we believe that what we're seeing is about a 30% reduction in those people that would have considered cruise. And so the biggest impact on the industry really will be the new to cruise, or the people that had never cruised and that were considering it,
right,
who at least in the foreseeable future are not considering it.
Right, and so that obviously has implications for who the passenger of the future might be. I guess perhaps at least initially a more experienced passenger once those numbers do come back. And are there perhaps out of all of this implications for how retail is showcased, structured, built, designed, or is that too early to call that just yet?
Well, the good news is I do believe that we're both saying the same thing, that we do believe that the loyal cruisers will be the first ones to come back, and that's where we have the most data and insights on what's important to them. So that certainly helps. And then one of the things that at Starboard that we've been very focused on is this whole idea of testing and spurring innovation and new ways of thinking. And one of the things the cruise partners have been so good about is let's really reinvent retail. And really coming out on the other side of this is really the best platform to be able to say, geez, let's try this, let's put it on, and if it works, we can scale it, and if not, let's not do it. So I think the spirit of innovation and trying things, there'll even be more of an appetite for that now as we really learn to connect with the consumer as we restart the industry. I believe that there's going to be so much pent-up demand for people that really want to go out and reconnect with their families and with their friends and, go to visit different destinations, and, creating memorable experiences are going to be more important than ever. So it's really incumbent upon us to think about how can we bring those products to life in a way that we haven't done before.
Yeah. Do you think the cruise model might change in terms of the traditional landlord-tenant relationship, to put it in those terms, between cruise partners and concession partners such as yourselves? Do you sense the industry is thinking about this in a particular way? I know certainly it's becoming a big theme in the airports industry, the idea of minimum guarantees. I know cruises operated on a slightly different basis, but there is that sense of landlord and tenant, certainly in some relationships. Any appetite for change, do you think, or something that might change as a result of this crisis, perhaps?
Yeah, good question. And, from my perspective, and we've always had great relationships with our cruise line partners, but everybody is in this together. And I believe everybody is really open to really rethinking a new way forward. And the reason that I say that is there's so much data and uncertainty now, and the historical data is not really of any use. And all the models and everything that we used to base our previous relationships all have to be reset. And so I do think it's a real opportunity for all of us to reinvent ourselves so that we can be stronger together.
And so, really in the context of the crisis, do you have a message for the wider industry, the travel retail industry, about Starboard, the future, cruising, and indeed the recovery eventually of our wider business?
Well, again, I am very optimistic that this will make us all stronger. You can't go through this with your employees and your partners and your vendors without everybody feeling this shared sense of purpose. And it's a strong, resilient industry. We're very fortunate, as I mentioned earlier, because of being a part of the LVMH group, and also because we've got 60 years of experience and our ability to drive through good times and tough times. And these are certainly the toughest times I've seen. But we believe really that people will have a new appreciation for travel, having been sheltered in. And I really think that they're going to look for travel as a way to return to normal. Our premise has always been about creating these memorable experiences. Back from my cruise line days, there was a statistic that 50%, at least 50% of the customers on board a ship were celebrating something, some kind of a milestone, a birthday, an anniversary, an engagement, being on the other side of an illness. And those celebrations aren't going to stop. They're just paused.
Lisa Bauer, many thanks for joining us on In Crisis Travel Retail Voices.
And I swear one day we're gonna put this out behind us, and come what may, we will survive. I think it's safe to say that better times are gonna find us. Hope it won't be long till this trouble is gone.